Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Dimitri's Desk, brought to you by Sutler Ventures. Today is August 23rd. This is episode 10. This is going to be a shorter episode where we're going to run through the charts of EOS, ETH, BTC, IOST. We're going to take a look at the indicators from last week, see where we are now, and where we might be heading. All right, as always, we're going to start with IOST USD on a daily chart. As you can see, not much has been happening. We're still in that sideways movement. Last time we talked about it, we discussed the fundamental play for IOST with the airdrop for LOL and Burmy. If you want more information on that, I recommend you take a look at our podcast from yesterday where we fully cover emoji network and all the details there. But as far as for IOST USD, it looks like things are still moving sideways. OBV is not really moving meaningful information right now, so it looks like we're still bouncing between these two levels where we still need to penetrate above the penny to continue to go higher. As of right now, looks like things are looking a bit stale. We're still in a sideways movement. Speaking of sideways movement, here is ETH USD. Looks like for this pair, things are not looking up either. So we are below 200, and I spoke about this multiple times from previous episodes that we really need to break above that 240 to make new highs for ETH USD. It looks like we're still struggling with that. As a matter of fact, we are making lower lows. We went down as low as 173. OBV is showing sideways movement. It's not looking too good for ETH USD at the moment. I would be looking for a push up above that 240, like I mentioned, to re-engage in any type of long positions. But for now, in the short term, I'm staying away and observing this as it develops going forward. And of course, the king of the sideways movement is EOS USD. Looks like we're still around that 350 mark. It's been tested multiple times. Looks like it's holding up as support. And like I mentioned last time, I wouldn't be really interested in EOS USD until it actually breaks above 5, and then I'll start picking entries for the long side. But at the moment, looks like 350 is holding. I did mention, if we did break through 50, then the downside, looks pretty grim. But at the moment, it looks like we are still moving in that sideways price action. Now, where we have a bunch of these wicks where the direction needs to be decided. Like I said from last time, the direction hasn't been decided. Still, we see OBV is, again, not showing anything meaningful. We're kind of bottoming out here. But yeah, things are still relatively within the same price range that we discussed last time. BTC USD on a daily chart, looks like things developed a bit to the upside since the last time we talked about it. I mentioned that I was looking for a close above 10K, and looks like that's what we got. If you did initiate a long position from that, you did pick up some percentage points there. It looks like 9% was a pretty decent bump there. But if you did spot this on a 4-hour, there was a rising wedge, which essentially is kind of a short-term bearish indication, and pairing this up with the ADX divergence that I noticed. I actually tweeted this out. You can see that here, ADX divergence, as this was being developed. You can see that the ADX is falling while the price is actually rising. That's actually a bearish indication of a momentum slowing. Essentially, a lot of people are looking to take profits when this occurs, and guess what? We did have that movement to the downside. As a matter of fact, if you take a look, the drop off in total from the top was about 10%. It looks like we're rebounding from that right now, but at the moment, I'm watching this very closely to see how these levels are going to be respected. The 10.7 is going to be a big one, and then obviously we have 11.5 as a big resistance as well. it looks like we're getting a little bit of a bounce right now from that rising wedge that we noticed that dropped us all the way back to 9.7. Now, we talked about this on the last episode, the Crypto Fear Greed Index, and let's take a look at it again. So we actually, if you take a look here, yesterday we were at 5, which was extreme fear. It's pretty interesting to see how the price reacts to these levels once we drop down to 11, 5, and so on. Last time we discussed where we were at 11, and that was on August 15th. If you take a look at the chart, I mean, boom, let's go. We had that upside of 15% from all the way to the bottom. And so the idea behind this indicator is to see how it relates to price, right? So if we are in extreme fear, it is supposed to indicate that it's a good buying opportunity, and vice versa. If it's in extreme greed, it is a good opportunity for selling, going short. So it looks like right now we're still in that extreme fear mode, meaning that the buy positions are favored. But at the same time, we have to respect the technical formations. So be careful when you pick your entries, even though this indicator is showing that there's a possibility for the upside. And right before we go, let's take a look how the traditional markets are getting wrecked. Looks like things are not looking too good. If you take a look at the Dow Jones, S&P, NASDAQ, we just closed the day in the negative on a Friday, which is not looking too good. Anyway, that's about it for today's episode, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Please leave any comments, any feedback you guys have. I always appreciate those. And as always, happy trading.